Hey everybody, Robert from Black Belt Gaming. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm continuing my read through of Dragonslayer, the role-playing game. Just as before, I'll be reading certain parts and paraphrasing, skipping around, and providing some thoughts and opinions as I read through. Remember, Dragonslayer is a game that sort of mixes basic Dungeons & Dragons with advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition, so very similar to the way I grew up playing and learned the game in the 80s. Today, we'll be taking a look at the character races. We've already covered humans and cyclopsmen and elves and dwarves. Let's pick it up with the gnome today. To be a gnome, you need an intelligence of 7 and a constitution of 8. Should you have those minimum scores, then once you choose to be a gnome, your charisma is going to drop by 1, but your constitution is going to be boosted by 1. You can play an assassin up to level 5, a cleric up to level 7, a fighter to level 6, an illusionist to level 12, and a thief to level 12. So it looks like illusionist and thief is where it's at. Gnomes are short, 3 to 3.5 feet tall, stocky demi-humans. They are not as thick-set as dwarves, but are sturdier than halflings. They have large heads and noses. They do not grow beards. That's interesting. I can't recall from first edition what it said about that, but I can't help but think of the garden gnome, which definitely does have a beard on it. But gnomes do not grow beards, but males are known to grow these big mustaches. Gnomes live in human settlements, but prefer to dwell in underground complexes with their own people. Gnomes live for 300 years and, like dwarves, have a low birth rate. Role-playing. Gnomes are at once both similar to and different from dwarves and halflings. Like dwarves, they possess an affinity for earth and stone and are capable craftsmen. However, unlike dwarves, steeped in ancestral tradition, gnomes live for the moment, with an eye toward the future. They're known for their ingenuity and inventiveness. They're outstanding alchemists and possess a unique aptitude for illusionary magic. In a world dominated by giant-like humans, gnomes view halflings as kindred spirits and have a zest for life and an insatiable curiosity. They move at the same speed of dwarves, about 20 feet per round, and they can see in total darkness, again with the dark vision, 60 feet. Weapon restrictions. They may not use two-handed melee weapons, the longbow, or heavy crossbows. And they do receive a +1 to their attack rolls against kobolds. Gnomes have a 1 in 2 chance on a roll of a d6 of detecting hazardous structures above or below ground. Their depth or direction underground, they can determine their depth and direction underground, and can detect sloped passages. Like the dwarves, they have a chance to evaluate the value of gems. So again, you roll a d6. On a 1, they have accurately guessed its value, but a failure could lead to a +50 or -50% value estimate. Saving throws, they get +2 against breath weapon, +4 against death saves. Stone +4, wand +1, and spell +2. Illusionists, interesting note here. The duration of all illusionist spells cast by gnomes is increased by 3 rounds, and Gnome illusionists may use the light crossbow. That's an interesting thing there. I don't know if I've seen that anywhere else. Armor class adjustment. When attacked by larger than medium-sized creatures, meaning 7 feet or taller, they receive +4 to their armor class bonus. Remember, we're using descending armor class, so that's actually going to improve their armor class lower by 4 steps. So if they had an armor class of 5, they're going to shift down to an armor class of 1 when they're attacked by a big creature. Thief skill bonuses. Open locks is +5%. Finding traps +7. Moving silently +5. Climbing walls, we got a penalty here, -15%. Hide in shadows is +5. They begin play with the Gnomish language, and depending upon their intelligence, they can add common, dwarf, elf, halfling, goblin, or kobold. So an interesting thing I'm noticing here is elves are the only race, along with humans, that speak common right out of the gate. The other races don't. They have to have an above average intelligence to choose common. So I remember back in the day, we kind of assumed that all of the races could speak common. And it was the additional languages that became useful when you were dealing with certain monsters or other NPCs. But you kind of had common among your party members. So I don't know if that would be an interesting house rule to have, because it really is pushing for above average intelligence for everybody just to be able to talk together. So elves and humans are fine, but everybody else so far is going to be struggling to communicate unless we've got some geniuses in the party. Starting ages, does it mention their lifespan? I guess I may have read over it and just didn't think about it. 300 years. Okay, so typical fighter is going to be at least 43 years old at the starting of their career. So rolling your age, height, and weight, just like the others. Let's go into halflings here. Halflings have a dexterity. You need to have a dexterity of 9 and a constitution of 9 to be a halfling. Once you become a halfling, your strength will drop by 1, but your dexterity increases by 1. Some low level limits here. You can play a cleric, but only up to level 4. And you can play a fighter, but only up to level 6. No magic user. None. But you can be a thief up to level 14. So I was just thinking of the old 80s movie Willow there. And just looking back at what was allowed, gnomes can be illusionists. Willow's group wasn't really dwarves. So no halfling wizards in this game. Halflings are short, 3 to 3.5 feet tall, about the same as the gnome. The term halfling refers to being half the size of a human. They have rounded faces with curly brown hair and slightly pointed ears, large feet with short stature, thick hair on top of their feet. They kind of look to be a bit chubby, but they're agile and nimble-footed. They are incapable of growing beards, but they sometimes grow these big sideburns that kind of look like mutton chops. They tend to like colors like brown and muted blues and greens to reflect their agrarian and pastoral way of life. Short, stubby hands, but they're very dexterous, and they make outstanding thieves. They're quick-witted and adapt well to solving puzzles and riddles. They see gnomes as kindred spirits, and at a casual glance, humans sometimes mistake halflings for children. They live for about 80 years. Role-playing, they have adapted to the world ruled by humans twice their size. They do face prejudice for their height, but approach the world with a joyful nature, unending patience, and agreeable disposition that endures them to all races. They are curious and possess a childlike enthusiasm for life. They celebrate the simple pleasures, ale, food, pipeweed. Their social nature allows them to fit into any party of adventurers. They have an affinity for sparkling gemstones and treasures, and as a result, many are innocent kleptomaniacs. Oh, that makes me think of the old, what is it? Kinder from Dragonlance. I don't think they're that bad. Humans use the derogatory term peck. There you go, coming right out of Willow. But remember, Willow was a magic user. But not in this game. He could be a cleric, and that's it. Anyway, the humans sometimes call them pecks in reference to their height. In response, they sometimes call the humans bigs. They move 20 feet per round. And here we go again with the dark vision. They can see in total darkness up to 30 feet. They can appraise gemstones on a roll of a 1 on a d6. A failure indicates a misevaluation plus or 50% up or down. They receive the following bonuses to their saving throws. Breath weapon +2, death +4, turning to stone +4, wands +3, that's one of the best I've seen for wands, and spells +4. Halflings are +1 to hit with slings and daggers, and they may not use two-handed melee weapons, longbows, or the heavy crossbow. They may hide outdoors if they remain motionless and silent. Looks like on a roll of 1 to 5 on a d6. That's excellent. If they're in the shadows underground, they can still attempt to hide on a 1 and 2 d6. Armor class, same as dwarves and gnomes. When they're attacked by something 7 feet or taller, they get a +4 bonus to their armor class. The thieving skills, they get the following bonuses. Remember, they're good at being thieves. So picking pockets +5, opening locks +5, traps +5, move silently +10, climb walls, no, -15 due to their size, and hide in shadows is +10. Let's see if we have the language issue with these guys. Halflings begin play knowing halfling and common. So there you go. Elves, humans, and halflings, they can get along with each other and communicate with each other without any problems. So if you have the intelligence modifier, you can add additional languages like dwarf, elf, gnome, orc, or soul, the cyclopsman language. You can roll for your starting age, typically 19, 20, 21 years old for the different classes. Interesting, it's got the starting age for fighters and thieves, but doesn't have anything listed for cleric. Wonder if that's just an oversight. So I'm still interested here in how we've got the name Peck, which was definitely used in the movie Willow. but there's no magic user or illusionist option for halflings. All right, let me take a look at our time and see how we're doing. Maybe we want to wrap it up here and save the next two for the next recording. So why don't we stop it there? What do you think? Should halflings be able to play some sort of arcane spellcaster? Let me know what you think about that. Next up, we'll be going over half elves and half orcs. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll catch you later.